We are learning today Brachas Lamed Tes on a base. We have 3 lines from the bottom. Rav Ami Ravasi. What it says, Rav Ami Ravasi, they're together, they're lumped together a lot of times through Shas, maybe they're chavrusas, I don't know. Rav Ami Ravasi. Kol hava misrami le rifted da'aruva. Whenever they gave them bread, da'aruva, Rashi says, she'irvu bayas ma'aruva chatzeres. They did their Erev Chatzeres. What's Erev Chatzeres? So Shabbos, you're not supposed to carry from courtyard to courtyard unless you put bread in someone's house, then you can carry it. Others say he's talking about Erev Tashilin, not Erev Chatzeres, because you can't use Erev Chatzeres on Shabbos. So what it's talking about, they use it the next day. It's also Mistavra. So anyway, they gave them the bread of Erev Chatzeres. So they made a bracha on that. They made a bracha on the Erev Chatzeres or Erev Tafshilin. Amru, they said, Chayil v's'avid ba mitzvah chada, navid ba mitzvah achrisi. Since we've done one mitzvah with it, we'll do another mitzvah with it. This principle you see throughout Shas, here's the first time in Shas, that if you've done a mitzvah with something, use it again for another mitzvah. You've shaken your esrog for, what's it called? Sukkos. So now use it for psamim. It becomes like the chayfetz itself becomes kind of sanctified. So therefore you should reuse it. I guess that's Pasha Pshat. I didn't see any before I'm digging into it, what the principle is, why you should reuse a mitzvah, a chayfetz. The Rambam first talk about doing a mitzvah in a certain place, that davening in a certain place, that you give kedusha to the place. Like Eretz Shal is holy. If you daven in a certain place, you do a mitzvah in a certain place. Why is the base of Mikdash in Har Moriah? That's where Avram was dedicated to Yitzchak. That's where the kedusha came from, right? Kedusha Yitzchak. One mitzvah leads to another mitzvah, another mitzvah. That's why it's all in the same place. So here you see the same thing with matter, not just place, matter. You take this piece of bread, there's nothing to it. You do a mitzvah with it. Now you should do another mitzvah with it. Shalom. Says the gemorah. We're on the top of Mem Amud Aleph, top of the page. Omar Rav says, so you washed your hands, you're about to make a maitzi, you're about to eat the bread. Omar Rav, Toil Bruch, Tol Bruch. What does this mean? Take a look in Rashi. Rashi says, this is a strange lashon. Tol Bruch, Habitzeh Kodesh Shetam Ben Apusa, what's the mena vayishet lemisha etzlai? He gives the bread to people. He says, take the bread. In other words, he washes his hands. Now he says, I might see. But before he eats, he says, take the bread. He tells everyone around him. Right? Make a mitzi. Or he doesn't have to make another bracha. It's fine. That's not called a hefsek. In other words, once you said a bracha, you have to eat straight away. But if you said, take from the bread that I made a bracha on, Tol Bruch, take the blessed bread, so you don't have to say another bracha. That's not called a hefsek. Taisha says you might think it's hesach hadas. You take your mind off of it. Once you said a bracha, you have to eat straight away. You can't start thinking about other things. You have to concentrate on what you're doing. So gemorah says ein tzarich levach. That's not called a hefsek. So the gemorah says, keep going. Have a melach. If the guy says a maitzi and then he's like, oh, pass the salt. Have a lift on, pass the dip. Tzarich levarach. Then you have to make another bracha. That's too much. Yeah, you've gone too far. Review B'yechnama. Feel have a melach, have a lift on. Nami in tzarich levarach. B'yechnama says, nah, that's not called a hefsek. You keep going. That's fine. Pass the salt. That's not called a hefsek. It's part of the suda. The Rishonim saying it's a tzarich suda. It's a tzarich, it's necessity of the meal. That's not called a hefsek. You're doing it for a reason. But next machlokas, next dispute. Gviluturi, tzarich levarach. If he says, stir the oats to give to the donkey, that's a hefsek. Then you got to make another bracha. You blew it. That's already hesach hadas. Obviously, there's a machlokas here. The first sheet is hesach hadas. The Gemara says, That's also not a hefsek. That also isn't considered a you stopped in the middle. Why? Rav says Rav. You're not allowed to eat until you feed your animals, until you feed your pets. You're sitting there eating, your pets are starving. The Torah says you have to feed your pets first. You got hamsters, you got a dog, you got cats, whatever you have, your fish. You got to feed them before you eat. It's also to eat before you feed your pets. It says, I give the grain in your field, for your animals, then it says, after I fed the animals, Hashem says, I feed you. So the animals get fed first. It's like, also, you should feed your children before you eat yourself. Maybe, I don't know, it's machlokes me and my wife. Do I eat before my kids? She says the kids eat first, I say I eat first. But the Torah talks about the animals. You've got to feed your animals, you've got to feed the pets before you feed yourself. Maybe you fall asleep, you forget to feed the pets, they'll starve, they'll die, I don't know what, but that's what the Torah says. You've got to feed the animals first. So, Lemaisa. Let's take a look in Rashi. It's actually an interesting Rashi, important to understand what's going on here. Take a look at Aviu Melach Nami in Tzarech Levarech. Sha'av Zu, Rashi says, in the second line of Rashi, Sha'av Zu Tzarech Bracha. It's part of the bracha. Why? Shtei Prusa Shel Bracha Necheles B'tam. Why is passing the salt essential to this bracha? So Rashi explains that the first bite you eat should be tasty, delicious. So you're supposed to dip the first bit in salt. So the first time when you make a bracha, you're supposed to dip it in salt. It should be delicious. That's why you dip it in salt. The first bite, it praises the bracha, elevates the bracha. It's a better bracha if you're having a nice piece of bread. And it's better if you dip it in salt. So saying pass the salt or pass the dip, you're supposed to dip in the first bite. Don't dip afterwards. The first bite you should dip. That's how Rashi understands why it's important and why it's not called the hefsek. Take a look at Taisus. Taisus says, Havi melech tzarech bracha, tavi hesach hadas. The first opinion was it's hesach hadas. You're taking your mind off the task at hand. It's hesach hadas. Now skip a few lines in Taisus about the fifth narrow line. Nowadays, what do? Ein anu regilim la'avi ala shulchan so we're going to see later in the gemorah that there's such a thing that you don't always need to have salt. But what Taisha says here, we don't use salt. We don't need salt. Why? Because we have good bread. Our bread is clean, it's spiced, it's tasty. You don't need to have salt to make it tastier. You know, my kids were saying, don't put so much salt when you dip the challah. Like, take it easy. Challah is great. You don't have to add you have to dip it with the salt, right? So we don't add salt. In those days, they needed salt. It appears that they made challah bread without salt in those days, and it looks like they made everything without salt. And people added the salt themselves. Why, I don't know, but it looks like that's how they made it. They didn't add salt. But we add salt when we bake it, so you don't have to have salt on the table. Now it's already relevant. The Mefarshim say that so if Taisvus isn't just giving history lessons. Taisvus is saying that nowadays if you say pass the salt, it's a hefsek. That's very knowlege tzarech. I've seen people wash their hands at Shabbos meal and then they say, pass the salt. They think you need salt. Taisvus says you don't need salt. It's a hefsek now. If you need it for the first bracha, it should be tasty like Rashi says, great. But if you don't need the salt, so why are you saying pass the salt? For the rest of the meal, the implication is that you're not allowed to say anything that's good for the rest of the meal. You can't say to your kids, oh, bring the juice to the table for afterwards. You're only allowed to do whatever's needed for the first bite, for the hamaitzi. That's the implication of Taisvus. Keep going, Taisvus. So should we have salt nowadays? Should we not have salt? Taisvus says, we don't need salt because we got b'sheish, whatever that means, we'll see. It means our bread's good. Rabbi Menachem was very careful. He was very careful that you should put salt on the table. Kedisa b'medrash. There's a medrash that says when the Jews are sitting around at the table and they're waiting for the balabais to come at the same way, he's sitting there quietly like this for 2 minutes. You know, you're waiting. Oh my gosh, you can't talk, you can't do anything. So what happens? Sorry. When below mitzvahs, they're not doing any mitzvahs, they're sitting there at the Shabbos meal, any meal, and you're not doing a mitzvah, Satan mekatrik aleim. So the Satan says, look at these guys sitting around doing nothing. What's going on over here? Bris melach megan aleim. When he sees the salt at the table, the salt, it's the zeich of the bris, the covenant that we have with Hashem. It's called the bris melach. Why is it called a bris melach? A covenant of salt. The salt lasts forever, so our covenant is forever. So you have the salt on the table. It reminds us we have a covenant for eternity with Hashem. And l'chayra, what it means is that why? Just because there's some salt on the table, so the salt kabi makachik, what it means is you see the salt, we're supposed to remember a little bit. We have an eternal covenant with God that will never forsake us. And that it's a covenant of salt. Salt never goes bad. You go buy salt, you don't have to check the best buy date with salt. It lasts forever. Our covenant with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is forever, and that's what protects us from the Satan. So we should have salt. And they bring in the Mekubalim say you're supposed to dip the bread 3 times in salt. Melach and lechem, bread and salt is the same 3 letters. For each letter you dip it once, don't ask me why. You dip it 3 times, you eat the bread. That's the Mekubalim say. So that's what Minhag Klal Yisrael is to have the salt. And maybe nowadays therefore you can say pass the salt. I don't know. Says the gemorah. Amar Rava bar Shmuel. Rava says the name is Shmuel Mishum Reb Chaim. You shouldn't start cutting up the bread until everyone of your people at the table has in front of them dips and salt that they can enjoy the slice. The implication is that each one dips his own piece in salt, I guess, or he dips his own thing in the dip, right? So and we don't want to say a bracha, give out the challah to everyone, give out the bread, and then he's going to have to start dipping. It's a hefsek. If he hasn't got the salt, don't wait. Everyone's going to say, pass the salt, pass the salt, pass the salt. It's not geschmack. It's a waste. That's a hefsek. Make sure everyone has the salt before you start giving out the bread to everyone. Ein l'shai, it's also. Rav Baba Shmuel, ikle lebei reish gelusa. Rav Baba Shmuel went to the reish gelusa, the Nasi, the president. Afikule rifta. They gave him bread, the botza lehedya, and he made a bracha straight away. Lehedya, Rashi says it means immediately, miyad, immediately. Lehedya normally means boldly, blatantly, it's blatant. But here it means immediately, Rashi says. Amulei hadar mar mishmasei. What, you've gone back on what you said, that you need to have salt? Amulu leis dein tzarech b'sheish. This bread is a good bread, it doesn't need b'sheish. Rashi says you don't need to wait for it. Others say means you don't need to dip it. But it means the same thing. If you got good bread, you don't need salt. You can eat it straight away. That's his. So that's why nowadays, if we have good bread, we don't put salt on our bread. You eat your maybe on Shabbos. I've seen people on Shabbos, everyone has salt on the table on Shabbos. This gemorah is not talking about Shabbos. The gemorah means anytime you sit down and you have bread, you just have salt on the table. And you dip your bread in salt. You have a pita for breakfast, or you have a bagel, dip it in salt. None do Shabbos. It's not Shabbos sugya, this is a bread sugya. You're supposed to dip the bread in salt. But nowadays our bread is made with salt, so you don't need to put bread. You don't need to dip the bread in salt. It tastes as good as it can. If they can make it taste yummier, they would make it taste yummier, and it tastes as sweet and as salty and whatever. It doesn't help adding salt to it, dipping it. Except for Lefilim Kubalim and Lefilim Shabbat Nachum, that you're supposed to have salt on the table if there's guests waiting for you. Okay. Another Meimer now b'shem Rav Bar Shmuel named Reb Chaim. Rav Bar Shmuel Mishum Reb Chaim. I guess we're saying this because he's a guy who bought the previous Meimer, so we're mentioning him again. Rav Bar Shmuel b'shem Reb Chaim. Ein me'er glaim kolim ela b'yeshiva. A person isn't able to remove all of his meraglayim, his ktanim, his urine from his bladder, unless he's sitting down. Standing up, it won't get rid of everything. So what's going on over here? Rashi says, Ela b'yeshiva. Rashi says, in those days, we're talking about a time where they didn't have fancy porcelain water with water in it bathrooms. They found a wall and they urinated, or whatever it was. They went outside, they found the tree, and then if it's going far away from the person at the beginning, it's away from him. Nothing's going to splash on him. But as it comes to the end, it comes closer to the man. So there's going to be splatter or splash on him. So he's going to stop the urine coming out before it gets to that. He doesn't want it to splash on his legs. He doesn't want to splatter. So Rashi says, he doesn't want to get his pants dirty, his trousers dirty, so he stops urinating in the middle. That's how Rashi understands it. And therefore, Amar Rav Kahana, Rav Kahana says, if the dirt is soft and wet, whatever it is, you can stand up, because there's not going to be any splatter. But if you've got no afa tituach, this dusty dirt, whatever it is, it's not going to splatter. So stand on a stool that it shouldn't splatter on you. When it hits the ground, it's not going to bounce on you. And then you've got no problem. So I was just wondering, why is he telling us this din that meraglayim kolim ele b'yeshiva, that all the meraglayim, when he comes out, if you're sitting down. So you could say it's because of tefillah, a person with learning brachas, tefillah brachas, a person shouldn't go daven when he needs the bathroom. But l'chayra, no one says that. What they say is that there's some type of sakana. It's dangerous. It's unhealthy for a person to walk around without emptying his bladder. Even though the gemorah previously said it's only dangerous if a person holds back the urine in the first flow. The second flow, the gemorah said before, it's okay. But still, it seems to be that it's better to get everything out. That's what the gemorah says. It's better to get everything out. Today's doctors apparently say that the reason why it's better to sit down is because it relaxes your pelvic floor. A person can sit down for longer, he can lean forward, it's easier to get out all the urine sitting down. And maybe that's what Reb Chaim meant. Not only because of the splatter, but because of other issues. You relax your pelvic muscles sitting down, it gets more urine out. But it seems to me that Rav Kahana didn't understand that, or he said the main reason is because of the splash. And therefore, l'chayra also, there are definitely medical, since the Gemara discusses medical things and how to live a healthy life, the Gemara found it very important to mention these things. So we also do. This is part of the Talmud. So why is it important to empty your bladder? Today's scientists say because it can cause infections, it can cause kidney stones. The urine goes back into the bladder, it goes back into the kidneys, it can cause infections, kidney stones, I don't know what. It's unhealthy. So it's important to get rid of everything, and only sitting down or kunta, Rav Kahana standing up, or use a proper bathroom. For another memra in the name of Reb Chaim. He's talking about health issues again. After everything you eat salt. Eat salt. After everything you eat, you should have salt. Salt's healthy. Don't eat anything without salt. You drink wine, whatever you drink water it down. If you do that, the food's not going to harm you. I guess maybe the salt killed the bacteria. I'm not sure what was going on over there. Or the wine they drank was very strong, so you drink water afterwards, water it down, shouldn't be too strong. The Mefarshim, the place I'm saying nowadays that this isn't true. Viata nizak, and that's maybe because either nishtana aguf, people have changed, we're different in those days, or food's different, everything's made nowadays with salt. You're going to eat salt afterwards, you're crazy. There's salt in everything. Everything has salt, so we're going to add salt now afterwards. And all our food's made with tons of water. So everything's got water in it, so why are you adding water afterwards? But the Gemara says, Tanya Nami Hachi. There's a brisa that says the same thing. What does the brisa say? After you eat salt, after you drink water, I'm not sure if that means they literally took a bit of salt and sucked the salt. I'm not sure. The other brisa says, you ate anything, you didn't eat salt. You drank, you had beer, you had wine, but you didn't have water. You should worry that your breath's going to smell, and at night you should worry that you're going to get askara. What is askara? So Rashi says askara is some type of disease that comes from constipation. That's how Rashi says. It's not constipation, it's a disease that comes through constipation.
From not drinking water?
From not drinking water, yeah. If you surround your food with water, you won't have stomach issues, stomach sickness. The karma, how much did you drink? Ketan is a jug. I'm not sure the size of the jug. I couldn't find what the size of the jug is. Lepas. However much bread you're having, you should have a jug of water. Whatever that is. A cup of water. I'm not sure what the ketan is. So you should drink with every meal you should drink. Now what the Mefarshim ask is, everyone knows the famous Rambam Hilchos Deis says, you shouldn't drink when you eat. So what's going on over here? You shouldn't drink too much when you eat. Here it says, it's mashma, the implication is, you should drink with everything you eat. So what they want to say is, the Rambam learned this gemorah, v'kama means what's the minimum dose? What's the maximum dose? More than a ketain is unhealthy. It's going to dilute your stomach acids, whatever it's going to do. This is the maximum dose. You should have water, but be very careful not to have more than a ketain. Someone has lentils once in 30 days, he won't have this constipation disease. So we eat it every day. No. Don't eat it every day. You have lentils every day, it's bad for your breath. Someone has mustard, mustard every 30 days, it's going to stop you getting sick. Don't eat every day. It weakens the heart. So actually, I didn't know this, but the FDA doesn't allow mustard oil because it's dangerous to have mustard oil. It creates uric acid and it's got caspasian in it. I don't know what. It's dangerous to have it on a regular basis. Too much mustard. But once in a while, it's good for you. Amar Chia Barashi. Amarav. Harog b'dagim ktanim. This is a very important gemorah. Someone, as usual, has rogel. It's a bit of a dion. It's a bit of a discussion. What means a rogel? It means every day, every week. But harog b'dagim ktanim. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean fish while they're small before they grow big. It means fish species that stay small. That's what sardines, whatever, anchovies, halibut. I don't know. I can't remember the dagim ktanim. Okay. So, he won't get sick in the stomach. He won't have stomach issues. And not only that, small fish, mafrin, marbin, mavrin, kol gufish lodom. So, pruvu means fruitful and multiply, right? Mavrim is it heals. So, it's fruitful, it multiplies, and it heals your entire body. So, according to this gemorah, anything you're sick with, have sardines, have these small fish, whatever it is. It's good for everything in your body. Probably because we know that these small fish are very high in omega-3 and it helps everything.
Salt too.
And high in what?
Salt. Sardines are very salty fish.
Sardines are salty fish because they put them in salt. They oil it in salt, but it's actually not got more salt than any other fish. You can make it, you can smoke it and salt it, and it's very salty, yeah. But it's just a regular fish. But so it's interesting. What does it mean, mafrin or marvin? I'm trying to understand. Like, okay, marvin, it heals. So one thing is it heals. Someone's sick, it heals him.
What, sardines?
Sardines, yeah, it heals any small fish. It heals a person. But besides that, it's mafrin and marvin. It's fruitful. It multiplies. The good stuff in your body is fruitful and multiplies. Some say it means a person will have more kids. It enables him to have more children, offspring, right? But it's got all sorts of things in it. Iodine, right? L'chaira, what it means is it's not just that it heals you, but it makes you stronger. It makes you. Everyone knows omega-3 it helps your brain function. I don't know, it does all sorts of things. Amar Chama Barebi Chanina. Harag, this is a big chiddush to me, but because I just saw it like a couple of weeks ago, I never knew this. Haragel bekatzach einim baledei kev lev. Someone's worried about cardiovascular issues. He should have katzach. What's katzach? Black cumin. Black cumin, if you have it regularly, rogel, regularly, even sounds the same thing, regal, right? If you have it regularly, you don't have, the person won't have heartache. Why? Because black cumin, they sell black cumin powder. It's a katzach, they put it in the bakery, like this little black stuff is very strong, very potent stuff. It lowers your LDL, it increases your HDL, it lowers your triglycerides. It's very, very healthy. And it lowers glucose, it lowers HbA1c and all that type of stuff. It's incredibly healthy. It lowers blood pressure. Very, very healthy. It's like the super of the superfoods. Black cumin is very hard to eat the stuff raw or cooked. They sell it in pills apparently. But that's it. Here you go. And the studies show that black humans is like the healthiest thing to eat for heart. Meisvei, so ask Rishon ben Gamliel, this black human is like 1/60th of death. Vayoshen Mizrach, Gronai, and someone sleeps in the Mizrach, the east of the Mizrach is the east, yeah? Gronai of his heart. Dome Bareshai, he might die. If you're on the side of a field of your black human, it's dangerous. The wind will come, you breathe in the air of a black human, it can kill a person, like Asha. Habarechai, habataimai. This is the smell of the cumin. It's dangerous, habataimai, but tasting it is healthy. The story happens with the mother of Yirmiyah, Apele Rifta. She baked the bread, the madpekele, she stuck in the black cumin, but she peeled it out, right? She says she took off whatever was outside, I guess, so that he doesn't smell it. She wanted him to eat it, but not to smell it. The smell is bad, but the taste is good. I think this is the first time in Shas we see that the smell of something can harm you. That's what it says. If you Google it, you'll see that people actually use the smell of cumin, black cumin, to heal sinusitis. It's very anti-inflammatory. So people have sinusitis. It takes away right. It takes away all the what's called. We're plugging as the pharmacy. It takes away. So maybe what it means is that it can dry out your sinuses if you sleep there and drink. Smell it too much. So it's dangerous. It's powerful. It doesn't do nothing. That's for sure. People use it to help heal them in small quantities. So we're back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Reb Yehuda said vegetables. What bracha do you make of vegetables? Bayrei minei d'shayim. Reb Chaim by Papa. We don't pass like Reb Yehuda. My time with Reb Yehuda. Why did Reb Yehuda say you make this bayrei minei d'shayim bracha? Amakra Baruch Hashem Yom Yom. Thank Hashem every single day. What does that mean? I say what? We only praise Hashem in the day, not at night. It's come to tell me, Kol Yom V'Yom, Tein Li Me'ein B'Chaisav. Every day you should bless Hashem for the brach of that day. Meaning on Shabbos, you bless Hashem for Shabbos, and Yom Tov, you bless Hashem for Yom Tov. That's how some Rishonim explain it. Hachanami Kol Min Min Tein Li Me'ein B'Chaisav. Each separate species has its own bracha. You don't say Bar Priyadama on everything. There's Bar Minei D'Shayim, Bar Minei Zerayim, Bar Priyadama. You got to separate as much as you can. Separate the different brachas. About Papa. By your way, take a look. Hashem is not like mankind. Spirituality, in other words, it's not really talking about Hashem. It's talking about spirituality. Spirituality is not like physicality. Why? In the physical world, you have an empty vessel. Now you can pour into it. You've got an empty vessel. You can pour. It's empty. If you've got a full vessel, you can't pour anything into it, right? With Hashem, with spirituality, it's not like that. If someone's full, he's full of chachma, he's full of Torah, someone knows a lot, you could teach him more. If someone doesn't know anything, you can't teach him anything. Shenema v'yema, how do I know that? This says Shenema v'yema. Im shemaya tishma, right? If you listen, you'll hear. Im shemaya tishma v'im lav lo yisishma. If you've already heard, you'll learn more. But if you don't learn anything, you're not going to be able to learn any more. There's something else that we can see from this pasuk. Davarach im shemaya b'yashan tishma b'chadash. V'mifne levav chashuv lo yisishma. What does it mean? If you do chazara on what you've already learned, you review, you go over what you've learned, you want to see it again, to instill it in you, then you're going to hear new Torah. You're going to learn more. You're like, I can't be bothered to chazara, it's not for me, I don't like it. You're not going to be able to learn anything new either. You're not going to be able to apply anything new because you've forgotten everything you've learned already, so you're wasting your time. You won't have a cheshik to learn more. You've forgotten everything, you don't know anything. Why should I bother learning? I don't know anything. I've forgotten all the Torah I've learned. But if you review and you learn and you understand and you remember what you're a Talmud Chacham, you know, so you're going to want to learn more. There's a point. You feel you're doing something. You're not just, flying through the sugyas and you don't remember anything. Keep learning and it's all just a waste of time. You learn, you do chazara, you have a masechta, you know it. So you have a cheshik, I want to learn another masechta. I want to know more. But just to learn, and you don't remember anything, you don't know anything, there's no point to it. I mean, I'm not saying there's no point. There's very, very limited point. So you're not going to learn anymore. Mishumaya tishma. If you do chazara, you'll be able to learn more. People think, I'm not going to do chazara, I want to learn more. No, it's exactly the opposite. Why don't people do chazara? I'm telling myself this. Why don't I do chazara? I want to learn more. No, the Gemara says in Shema Tishma, if you do chazara, then you'll want to learn more. You'll know Torah. You'll have enough. You'll want to learn more. If you don't do chazara, you'll have no reason to learn more. You won't want to learn more. Eventually, you'll be like, I did the daf for 10 years. I don't remember anything. I'm quitting. I've heard this from many people. I learned for years. I don't remember anything. It's not for me because you never did chazara. In other words, the Gemara is saying this is a long-term plan. Maybe you're right. Right now, I'm going to learn more. I'll learn more. I'll cover more ground. I'm excited. But eventually, you're going to be like, I'm learning for years. I don't know anything. I'm wasting my time. So you're going to give up. That's why it's about the chazar. You'll never give up. You'll keep learning the rest of your life. Okay, have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Masari.